Hello, this is Rick Love, the National Sales Director for the National Senior Burial Benefit Program. Good day. I pray that you're doing well. This training session will cover the different types of insurances, what they are, and the niche that they fill in the industry that we're in. I also want you, when you have an opportunity, to go to the video titled Rick Love, National Sales Director for the National Senior Burial Benefit Program. It's an intro biopic in regards to me and some of the my accomplishments in this industry. I give God all praise, honor, and glory, and for whatever it is that I've accomplished in this business, for who I am and where I am today. So I never want to take God's glory for anything, because without Him, I wouldn't be here. And so I preface anything that I say or do with that, because I mean that sincerely. But I do want you to do that so you have a better idea of who I am and why you may want to work with me and the National Senior Burial Benefit Program. There are a lot of 90-day wonders out here. It's just ridiculous. People who have no sustained track record of success, and they're forever trying to recruit people and bring people underneath them, and they have nothing to offer, nothing whatsoever. And I've been blessed to have done this successfully for many, many, many years. Okay, and my bio will give you more information about that. But now I want to go ahead and segue into what I wanted to speak about. I want to look at the different types of insurances. Uh, you're probably familiar with them, but you have whole life, universal life, term, graded, and guaranteed issue plans. Now let's look at those two just a little bit in depth, and I'll start with the whole life plans. With whole life insurance, we know that whole life bills, quote unquote, it accumulates cash value. Okay, where a person can take a loan out against a policy. But within the whole life family, you have traditional whole life, where it may require some underwriting for larger amounts of life insurance, and you're doing whole life. It would typically require some type of underwriting. It may order a doctor's report, may even do blood exam, etc. And then you have simplified issue whole life, and we do quite a bit of that business, the simplified issue whole life, where the insurance is approved over the phone or through an e-application. You get an approval either instantaneously or within a few days. And that's called simplified issue whole life. There's no medical exam, no visit to the home, and and typically that insurance will encompass people who have some nicks, bumps, and bruises on their medical history, okay, as well as some of the prescription medications that they may take. So you have the traditional whole life, which is more of an underwritten product, the simplified issue whole life, and then you have what we call 10 pay and 20 pay whole life. Now, I do a lot of 10 pay whole life, and I'm going to tell you why. The 10 pay whole life I typically put on people under the age of 20. Our grandchildren have 10 pay whole lives. And the benefit of a 10 pay whole life is simply this: you pay on it for 10 years and it's paid up for life. It will continue to accumulate cash value within the policy, but after the 10-year period of time, you don't have to pay on it anymore. It's an excellent, excellent insurance plan for young children, infants, etc. Much more better for them than a Gerber plan, and I'm gonna tell you why. The thing about Gerber, and not knocking the company because it's a good company, and we do use them for certain things, but not for this. A Gerber plan, you have that it's called a grow up plan. Okay, that's what it's called. You have to pay on it forever. Okay, and so you could potentially pay on that thing for 60, 50, 60, 70 years or more. That's the problem with that particular plan. It doubles in face amount at the age of 18. Okay, I get that. But the fact that you have to continue to pay on it, that's the problem I have with it. So I would much rather put my children in a 10 pay plan or even a 20 pay whole life plan. You pay on it for 20 years and it's paid up for the rest of their life. So those are great plans, and we have the some great carriers that use those plans. Uh, my secret weapon is one of the companies that have one of the lowest cost per thousand 10 pay plan I have ever seen. And for those who come to work with us and get contracted with us, of course, you'll have access to all of our carriers, our library of other information, including our recorded sales calls. And I'm going to tell you, that's a gold mine right there. Of the call from the onset of hello to sending them an email welcoming them as a new client. Okay, you'll have all that available to you to listen at your leisure and learn from it. Okay, you'll also have access to our scripts, our script, as well as our carrier tip sheet and health sheet that will really be invaluable as you create success in this industry. So that takes care of the whole life. You got your traditional whole life, your simplified is your whole life, your 10 pay, and your 20 pay. And then you have participating and non-participating dividends. Only difference with those, participating dividend whole life typically costs more per thousand. It builds up cash value at a more rapid rate than non-participating dividend whole life. Okay, so if you're interested in any of those products, we'll go more in depth in that with one of our Zoom training sessions that we do on a weekly basis. The other product I wanted to touch bases on is a universal life product. The universal life product has really gotten a bad name. Well, duly so, because many of the plans that were sold years ago, they imploded. And what that means is the interest rate that whoever the agent that sold them created an interest rate that we know was not sustainable, but they would do it. And so that premium that that person was paying no longer was able to sustain their policy, and those premiums were exponentially just go off the chart. I mean, you may have been paying $60 a month. Now they're telling you got to pay $300 a month or the policy going to end. And so because of those things, they have really gotten a bad rep. But those policies now, many of the carriers have revised them. And we work with a carrier that have universal life policies guaranteed to age 120. I have another carrier that has a universal life policy guaranteed to age 100. And so what is a universal life policy? For me, it fits between the cost of a whole life plan, whole life insurance, whereas it has some of the components of whole life in that it builds up some cash value within the policy. And then it has a component of a term policy in that it's a lower cost per thousand than your traditional whole life insurance policy. To me, it fits right in the middle between whole life and term insurance, okay? And so with a universal life policy, most of them have living benefits. If a person has a terminal illness, chronic or critical illness, that episode such as heart attack, stroke, something of that nature, cancer, these plans will pay out a cash dividend prior to death. We know that typically insurance policies pay when a person dies. But with these plans, with what we call living benefits, and many of the universal life policies have them that we work with, they have those additional features that are just outstanding. To know that if a person contracts cancer, have a stroke. And matter of fact, I had a client a year or so ago that had a stroke, and they called me, and we were able to call the insurance carrier, and all they needed was something from the doctor indicating that she had suffered a stroke, and she received a $50,000 cash, and that's tax-free money, by the way. She received $50,000 because she had a stroke, and it was one of the benefits of her plan. Okay, so important, so important. So Universal Life Policy, very good plan. They certainly have a niche because unlike term insurance, where I'm getting ready to expound upon now, term insurance, as we know, will end at a future date. Now, we are fortunate at the National Senior Burial Benefit Program to have there are only 3 carriers that have a 40-year term, and we work with them. Okay, so we have a 40-year term product. Okay, so what does that do? Well, level benefit, level face amount for the duration of that term period. Now, we know that term insurance costs less. It has a lower cost per thousand than the other types of life insurance. And with our term insurance policies, we have a non-med term where it doesn't require physical any type blood work, as long as they can pass the questionnaire. And there's more leeway for that, so they can still have a couple of things that's not in order, and we can still get them a non-med, true non-med term. And then, of course, you have the term policy that require a paramed or someone to come out, do height and weight, draw blood, perhaps take a urine sample. Those plans typically cost less per thousand than the non-med term because the criteria is different to get them, and so they typically cost a little bit less than the other term product. So I've covered, just to refresh, whole life, the different types of whole life, the universal life policy, the term policy. Now let's look real quickly at the graded insurance. Graded insurance policies, when a person answers yes to a couple of questions on the application, or they could be taking different medications or on oxygen or something of that nature, congestive heart failure, they fall into a different category of insurance, and it's called a graded policy, where the insurance company is saying, listen, we know you've answered yes on some of these things, you're on some medication, you're on oxygen, et cetera, et cetera. We're not going to give you what we call day one coverage immediately. You're going to have a waiting period. So your typical graded policy are 35% benefit the first year if a person dies, 70% of the benefit the second year if they die, and then after the 2 year, it's 100% in effect. So if I got a $10,000 policy with that type of graded policy, and I die, my family will get $3,500, which is 35%. The second year they will get $7,000, which is 70% of the $10,000. And then after the 24 months, it's 100% in effect. That's one graded policy. We also have another graded policy that has 6 health questions. 6. Okay, and I can get people with congestive heart failure this plan, and folk that has some other things wrong with them. We can get them a graded plan where there's no benefit the first 12 months, but the 13th month is 50% benefit, and then 24 months is 100%. Well, Mr. Rick Love, why would I do that? Well, for those who may not qualify for graded, the 35 and 70%, before this type of policy, they had to get what they call a guaranteed issue plan, which is the Colonial Penn, United Mutual Omaha. They sell this stuff. That there's no benefit for the first 2 years whatsoever. Person dies during the first 2 years, it's a return of premium plus 10% interest on the money, and that's simple interest. Okay, that's not compound interest. That's simple interest. And so with this type of graded plan, and traditionally people with congestive heart failure had to get a 2-year waiting period. Okay, there's 6 health questions. We can get those folks a plan. Zero, if they die in the first year, it's return of premium plus 10% interest. They die this 13th month through the 24th month, it's 50% of the benefit. And after that 24-month period, it's a full benefit like anyone else. So that's another great plan, and we have that in our arsenal of products that we have available for our clients. Because as you know, we sell insurance all over the United States, and we talk with a myriad of people who have various things health-wise that they may be contending with, and we want to put them in the best plan possible, and we're able to do that. Now, also, I want to touch base on the guaranteed issue plan, because now the last resort, of course, is a guaranteed issue plan. This is where they may have cancer, they may have AIDS, just a myriad of things could be going on that they can't get any kind of plan other than this. However, it's better than having nothing at all, because again, the way I look at it, for the first 2 years is a hybrid savings account, because if you die in the first 2 years, you get all the money back plus 10% interest. After that 2-year waiting period, it's a full benefit like everyone else. So it certainly serves its purpose. And we work with a couple of carriers, and we have one primary carrier for that product that has some of the best rates in the United States. I mean, they just absolutely have the best rates. They beat Mutual Omaha, they beat Gerber. They just have some of the best rates in this country. And so that's what, for those who work with us, you'll have access to all the carriers that we utilize. And I want you to know, I've been in this industry for over 26 years, and through trial and error and research and things of that nature, I have reduced the number of carriers to work with, because I've studied and I've done due diligence and I've done the research to determine which ones we need to work with and which ones we don't need to contend with. A lot of agents, they contracted with 30 and 40 companies and all that stuff. I found that that's not really necessary. And I'm going to tell you another reason why. Because if you don't write enough business with a carrier, you'll lose your contract, and you might not get your renewals, because they don't give renewals if the dollar amount is under a certain amount. And so you put in these policies here and there, and you may not get your renewals. And then lastly, you certainly can't earn convention credits, because you haven't put enough credits with one company so that they can send you all over the world. And I've been blessed to do that with these carriers. My wife and I have been all over the world with some of these carriers. Okay, that's it for this session. I have 2 great regional managers that work with me, Miss Rachel McKee, Mr. David Wilkins. They also will be involved in training any new agent. We have a superb team. I want you to reach out to me if you have any questions. 888-655-4866, 888-655-4866, or you can go to our website, www.nationalseniorBurialBenefitProgram.com, www.nationalseniorBurialBenefitProgram.com. All right. Have a good day. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to speaking with you. God bless.